Hello War of the Vision fans, I'm Jockey Fox, and today we're going to be doing an arena showcase video featuring the first two of the Veritas. But I am also going to be showing off Veritas of the Earth up here early on in some matches in free match, because he does actually really well. It's just at the point that I am in arena this week, he's not really going to cut it at level 107. But he still can beat people's butts in some interesting ways, and I definitely want to show that off. I will be 115ing him soon, so maybe I could show you more later if people are interested. But this video is also going to show off a number of my water teams. This video is going to show off a number of my strike teams as well as my philosophy on how to do well in arena, because I've noticed that a lot of people seem to be having a lot of trouble in arena right now. Like, a lot of people are saying that all of their units have been devalued by these newer units and they can't beat these newer teams, and I kind of agree with you. There are some teams that I just can't beat that feel like whale teams. Are just made of the newest units. There's not really any rhyme or reason sometimes with these accounts. It's just everything on it is more than I can deal with. Really, any iteration of a Gilgamesh team seems to be an absolute problem for me, in part because I just don't really have a fire team that I regularly use, so I don't really have any way of countering him. But often he's on teams where that wouldn't even matter, and the team that I best have to deal with what the rest of his team has going on is probably weak to him in some way, or at least weak to magic, so his Seeking Plume is just going to wreck people. So yeah, there are a lot of units that are really common, really higher in arena right now that are very difficult and a real big pain in the ass to deal with, maybe even more so than in a lot of other metas that have had real standout units, because I don't really have a great way around them. But at the same time, if you have a good variety of teams, then you should be able to deal with at least something within your window at all times. Probably. So I'm building a variety of teams, and this is a strike focus account, so I have most of the strike units, and this actually builds me into a variety of elements. Now, I haven't gotten a lot of elemental vision cards outside of water and wind for this account, so all of my strike teams are going to be built using the same set of strike vision cards, which is pretty cool. It just allows me to play multiple different elements of teams at their tippy top power, provided that they're all strike teams. So this has been really helpful for me, and you know, ever since I got my first 6 full set of powerful strike vision cards, I've been playing these bad boys pretty much non-stop, with the only edit being the back of a hero, which in my The Trap video I did mention screwed up my ability to save on this account, but I think I still will be able to get Shurika, so maybe I didn't screw up enough. Anyways, this is the variety of teams that you may be seeing throughout the course of this video. I am primarily going to try to use my Veritas teams, so let's go in and go ahead and use my first Veritas team. And we can see how that performs in free match. So I'm actually here basically in a mirror, with Summer Glaciella standing opposite Veritas of the Waters. Now I have everything set up and used initial placement on this map so that Veritas of the Waters is in slot 1, so she is getting extra initial hate. Which maybe doesn't have to be that way, but she is my slowest unit, and usually that initial hate or slowest unit, often that lines up with tanks, wants to be in the middle so that everyone will come to buff them. This gets a really good buff pattern that we see here that I may not necessarily be able to use in the same way in arena. Just initial placement allows me a little extra advantage here, and I'll be damned if I don't use it. That being said, everything in me tells me that this tank is going to be probably a better choice than Veritas of the Waters, but I do have some faith in Folka, so let's see how her unique abilities will steer us through this match. Already getting some big LB action here from Elda. Wow, that did a lot of damage. And we've also limited her healing power a bit, so she wasn't able to heal back super heavily. Maybe if we can chew through their tank really quickly, this will be good. Also, I'm seeing that they're using their signature weapons for Elda and Jum, whereas I'm using the legendary reliquaries weapons, which I think are superior for both of them. Let's see if that has much of a difference here. It looks like we're not doing a lot of damage to them, at least initially. They're coming into this with some heavy resistances, but the same is true for us. And yeah, now that we've broken through some of those, bam, we are really hitting hard. It'd be really easy for a follow-up here. Okay, so we got them down to courage and re-raise. This is their last chance. Now both of these characters have the ability to use their skills to heal up tremendously, even from this point. But it's not happening. We got them. We got them, ladies and gentlemen. And all those in between or otherwise, we got them. So let's show off Veritas the wins now. This is my windy team. Feel free to pause the video if you want to check out any of the stats for these, but we're moving quickly because there's a lot of video today. Now, this isn't necessarily an ideal matchup for them, but I don't think the characters on the other side of the field are particularly new or powerful. These are all a couple generations old, and actually I think Glacialo Flagbearer of Reform is actually newer than all of these characters as well. Maybe not Terra. Terra's pretty cool, but she's... I mean, even when Celeste was a big deal, people didn't really use Terra very much. Doesn't mean that she's not a pretty strong unit for fire, or wasn't at the time. But at this point, it's been a while. That being said, since people don't play her often, I'm always excited to see someone play Terra and see what she can do. With Dario up front, she's not going to be doing a lot. Well, so much for that. Also, Ninja's a terrible choice for Mon. Like, I have run him that way in quests, just so you have Dream Within a Dream for chaining purposes, just for getting, like, certain quest missions. But, gets pretty awful in PvP. Of course, the fact that he was using it probably indicates that other options were even worse somehow. I didn't think we were running a lot of fire resist. I think... Anyways, this is going to be my strike team, or my Earth strike team specifically, built around Veritas the Earth. I only have two... Well, actually, I do have more Earth strike characters. In a more limited capacity, I could run this with, say, an MR strike unit as well, because there is Etra. She is easy to build up, but I'm running Alaya the Alabaster because she's just still probably the strongest strike unit in the game in most respects. So she's kind of going to be my third slot in a lot of these strike teams. Also, I have her fully reincarnated, so I'm going to use her every opportunity I possibly get. But as you're seeing here, yeah, she's taking a lot of damage from Seeking Plume. And while there is some, like... okay, this might actually help me out a lot in this fight. This always does an insane amount of damage, even against things that have a good resistance to lightning. And Mon's definitely not going to have good lightning resistance now, but his initial couple hits of barrier are really helping him endure this. Whereas we've already worked Jum down. But we're also frostbitten and frostbeaten at this point. Jeez. That follow-up hit is just a pain. They've broken our healing power because usually that move on Veritas of the Earth will heal about 7,500 HP for him. So it'll get about half of his full HP, basically. Since he's a tank, he's going to be, you know, especially with reincarnation, maybe closer to like 15 to 20k HP. So it should heal him up pretty considerably, even though he has a big wall of health. Seeing him lose was pretty unsatisfying, so let's try another team. I think I might be having problems here because of Soul. maybe Perrine can put in some work against this team, but Sol typically brings a lot of versus physical and versus strike to his kit, which is going to be really unfortunate for us. But I don't know, maybe we can work through this? I do have a lot of faith in this team. Both Alaya and Perrine are fully reincarnated. Also, for the record, both of the Veritas that I'm going to be using are fully reincarnated as well. So you're seeing them at their max power, all of them. With the obvious exception of Veritas of the Earth here, only at his level 107 heaven, but he did manage to bait the attack off of Resnick, which basically did nothing. Sol didn't do much damage either. And that's him. And that could be in part because of the Veritas of the Earth's aura, which protects both physical and magic damage. But I'm not entirely sure that he got it off. In fact, that's one of the things that I feel like I need to work with him the most, is figuring out how to put him on this map so that he can get out in front and tank, but also has enough buff turns that he'll be able to get his aura up as well. But as you can see, even though Sol could have definitely been a huge curveball against strike teams that would have wrecked me, and two of my units ended up being cursed in this one, Perrine didn't even really have to do anything to win this one. That wasn't why we won against Fire here. Now, moving into Arena, you'll see I have some of the bonus units, and will not really be using any of those today. I only have one bonus VC, and it's going to be on all of the strike teams, but basically nothing else. So I'm not going to be climbing as fast as I theoretically could. I just want to point that out, that in my other showcase videos, I'm not switching teams, and I think that's really bad practice unless you have an incredibly dominant team, and even then, it's still bad practice. But in this video, I'm really not using the bonus system that much, which is also bad practice. If you were trying to do this, I would recommend not only setting up your teams, setting up multiple teams, like 5 or 6 teams to counter various elements or archetypes within the game, but also that you actually put as much bonuses on them as you can get, maybe with the exception of units where they don't fit in at all. You don't have to work a bonus unit into every team. That's why the bonus vision cards can be so very important. They do, when they're unnecessary or unuseful, handicap your team a little bit, but typically it's much less of a handicap than using absolutely the wrong unit on your team. Alright, so we won that pretty easily. I'm going to show you a little bit more of my picking process for this, by the way. We found ourselves a mostly water team here, also an opportunity to show off Veritas of the Waters that someone else has built. But in addition to that, I'm going to be going in with my lightning-based strike team here. As you can see, because I don't have the initial hate swap up, my tank is not starting in the middle of the map. I would have to put them on slot 2 to do that, and I've just been lazy. I don't want to change their slots between class and regular, although maybe I should just put my tank in the middle and deal with the one hate being somewhere else so that it works good in both, and not even use the initial placement. In fact, that's probably what I would recommend to most people who are watching this. Which is another, do as I say, not as I do kind of moment in this video. Because I really do like the rush to the middle start for tanks. I think that's really, really strong. But I should have enough other advantages in each of these fights that I don't really have to worry about that. And even not having huge bonuses isn't an incredible handicap, considering that I only really could have realistically put so much bonus on these teams to begin with, provided that they are strong enough to win basically every match that I put them into. Because, there is there is not a huge value in winning streaks necessarily. I looked at this during my examination of just how all of the mechanics for scoring in Arena went and whether or not that makes Arena fair or pay to win. And it did end up being the most pay to win because of the number of ways that bonuses could benefit you outside of just having a good strategy. So really, what I'm more doing here is focusing on having good strategy. And also, right now, before I get into my day 2 footage, I want to show you one last match in free match. Just one last opportunity to show off Veritas of the Earth before we move on. And this one looks like it's going to be kind of rough, at least for... Yeah, no, basically for everyone on my team. I'm running up against my counter elements to my fully reincarnated characters. That's definitely not good. The guaranteed hit here, seemingly coming in handy for Veritas of the Earth. Oh, and that allowed me to chain in and take out 2P. So we got 2P, but then Alaya took us out. So now we have just Veritas of the Earth versus the strongest strike character in the game, luckily who he has an elemental advantage on, and the strongest Earth character in the game. And both of these are just incredible single target DPS. Mont has the ability to heavily break unit attack resistance, and Alaya has incredible unit attacks. And yet, they're not going to be able to crack this nut. And it's not even a thing where he gets stuck in a heal spiral necessarily. He's taking small enough amounts of damage that he only has to heal like every other turn to stay in the game. So every other turn, he can be slapping somebody in the face. That being said, completely stalling out the opponent probably isn't the best way to go. But if you can get this guy's aura up and get him out front, he's definitely going to perform really well at a higher level. Because if he doesn't go down, if he shows this stubbornness as your tank up front and keeps your other units from getting beat on and keeps that aura up for them, that's just going to be really powerful. So moving into day 2's arena, these are kind of the teams that I'm seeing a lot of that I don't necessarily know how to counter and don't want to deal with it. That last team is kind of tough too, because you want to fight it with lightning, but then they've got that Mont there. Now we also have a black mage team here. I think I do pretty well against this with anti-magic water, but I've also had some issues where some of the counter effects, like the preemptive hit for Vivi, or I think there's like a counter heal for Roth, there's a counter heal definitely for Helena. Some of those things could actually push them just to the point of being able to beat me, and I actually lost to this exact team and player the day before in Arena. And it was mainly because, like, at every opportunity during that fight where a counter could have gone off, at least one character's counter went off. And generally, that was just enough. That extra heal without a cost. The extra attack, preemptive attack. all of those things were enough to push it from the threshold of like, you would lose on your next hit, or, you know, I'm hitting you after courage, or something like that. Like, there was just a lot of times where those effects were really, really plummeting clutch for that side. And you can see they are actually managing to counter on occasion here. So far we've seen one counter effect come off for them, or go off for them, and that was VV hitting a preemptive counter on one of my characters. But there were no preemptive heals, and because of that I was able to push them past the threshold that they could survive. And that meant they didn't get another attack, and them not getting another attack meant that some of my other characters could stay in this game, because in some ways this was still kind of close. I mean, it is down to their tank now, which is not a great look. But, you know, Joom is hanging in there and stabilizing, but she was also previously at a point where, like, one more hit from someone on the other team might have put her in the danger zone. This is a really good one for water teams that have Veritas of the Winds TMR equipped. So this is definitely going to be a thing with Folka, because she can extend buff and debuff durations. I'm going to allow her to lay into this team with that. And that's going to be really impactful both for Sephiroth and Oberon, who both like their AP auto restore. Meanwhile, as long as we can move quickly through this team, Summer Resnick's Droplet of Summer, or whatever it was called, the one that allows her to bring someone back to life and give herself re-raise. I'm going to fight several Summer Resnicks throughout this video. You're only ever going to see that skill used once, and even then, it almost feels like too little too late. I do think that the interesting thing about her as a healer is that she has that small threshold HP restore. It's a little unfortunate that it's not bigger. I mean, it's not, it wouldn't even be like the newest thing. Like, Omnilus can give a medium-sized HP threshold heal to everyone on her team with her. That's already a thing that she can do in a plus-shaped pattern, right? So it wouldn't even be unprecedented to put that type of effect on a unit, and this is just a little bit weaker than that, which is odd. But I do think the idea of essentially preemptive heals are really, really smart, and are really where the healing meta is progressing. And that's why, despite a bunch of other really cool aspects to herself, the newest Fina is really getting left behind as a healer. So here we have a pretty solid Earth team. Somehow or another, though, it has managed to get up this high without having Ashen Mont, which is not something that you usually see. Melnia is pretty powerful, though. You're going to see her do some devastating things, I think, in this match, because she can be a pretty rough unit to go up against. But also, like most gunners, you know, once you get in range of her, she's probably dead. So you just have to close the gap with her is really the thing. But look at that. Just really hitting people that aren't even near each other. And also, you know, because she has that ability to target two, she is still hitting my tank. She is still being bound to hit my tank. However, she can pick someone else to hit too. Now, she didn't do enough damage to Dario. You can see he's healing like crazy, and he's managed to get himself back up to full health. And with enough time to close in, take out Melnia, and now Berserk Rinoa. There's just no coming back from that one. This looks like another good team to play my water against. Joom being a very strong anti-magic unit herself, but she also really goes in good against Helena the Black Rose. She's a really good counter for that specifically, because she deals with the wider area effect resistance. She can remove that, and that's a big selling point in Helena's kit. But I'm ultimately switching from Veritas of the Waters over to Ferris here, just because I believe that Ferris is better with the physical damage boosting aura from Elda King of the Lions, should he get that off in this match, but also because she's just going to be better into Dario. If there's no character that Dario can negate, he's going to go down a lot faster. And you've already seen him go down. You've already seen how durable he can be when he lines up a couple of the right things, because I've been using him really effectively, and we've only seen him go down maybe once or twice. I think only just once, though. Like, usually he can heal through things and just deal with stuff. But if I have, hopefully, 3 characters in a row that are all physical that can deal with this, that's not going to happen. Although, in retrospect, after seeing the way that this match worked out, I can't help but think that had it been Veritas of the Waters that was more upfront for that, and she wouldn't have fallen asleep, and she would have done anything here that would have helped chip these characters away faster. That being said, Joom and being backed up by Elda King of the Lions is certainly enough to be able to deal with these guys. I don't necessarily need the 3rd unit. These 2 are doing just fine, especially since we're matching up against, the things that Dario tends to tank the worst, generally speaking. However, despite that, he still managed to be the last one on that team to go down. So, A, maybe I should have used Veritas of the Waters, but B, maybe it was kind of foolish of me to think I could take him down that easily, even with massive damage dealers like I have between Elda and Joom. Since the map bonus for Leona's Castlegate 2 is going to be fire unit attack up, as well as things for book and magic characters specifically, we're going to be seeing a lot of fire teams in Arena, so this is a pretty good time right now to have a strong water team that has anti-fire capabilities to deal with the mini teams that will be rushing in to take advantage of this. So this is another one of those teams that's really going to have a lot of trouble without its AP. As we can see, Folka's buff here is really doing a lot for Elda. Let's see how he deals with some damage. Yeah, Sephiroth has been trying to break through that 5,000 HP barrier and has been unable to after multiple attacks now, which is pretty ridiculous. It's only 5,000 HP. Other characters have larger barriers, he doesn't. And still can't do it. Even to the point where you're seeing his basic attacks are doing, 2,000 or 3,000 themselves. So his elemental attacks are doing less damage than his basic attack would. That's a pretty good indication of high elemental resistances. And a big part of that there was Folka's buff. So let's do one more restore. This team is pretty mostly Earth. I don't think that Resnick is going to pose a very big deal. She probably has less synergy than Rinoa. She does have some advantages or benefits over Rinoa, potentially. But a lot of the things that she's meant to do or meant to counter, like follow-up hits or curse, just aren't present on my Wind team. So I feel like Wind is a pretty safe bet into a lot of the things that she's doing, at least right now. So really not changing my calculation on whether or not I think I can beat this with Wind. That being said, holy crap, those guys just snuck up on my tank and demolished him. I didn't think they would be able to do that, but I guess I was underestimating Bradley's high penetrations. In fact, now that I think about it, that was the first time that we've seen Dario go down in this video, except for that you know, the other Darios, other people's Darios. But as you can see, these two cleaned up and barely took any damage. Like, between the AP denial and Dario baiting their best attacks out of them, they just didn't have any gas to get anything but my tank by the end of the day. Okay. Ooh, okay. Solid earth. We can do this with wind. That'll be fine. Unfortunately, Dario's auras and stuff aren't going to do a lot against this team. And as we saw in the last match, Dario being really good against magic, but not necessarily against physical, is going to hold him back a little bit against most Earth teams, practically speaking. That being said, when your other two characters on your team are this good against physical, if you can get everybody out together, then you have a really good shot. And again, it's not just that, it's the massive earth resistance that this team has. I didn't take damage, but I'm going to heal anyways. Thank you. Dario's such a bamf. Because he definitely did make Renoa look like an absolute chump there. Ooh. Okay, so here's a pretty old school water team. Let's go ahead and switch out to one of the strike teams. Get Alphonse's armor rusty. You know what I mean? Let him get that armor wet. He likes getting that armor wet. Man of simple pleasures. Looking at this, I should probably switch Perrine and Alaya in this formation. Man, who's calling me? I'm a screen this call. Who you? Oh, got the slow. We're not even. Oh, damn. Didn't even take 1,000 damage from the follow-up hit. Yeah, that's what I thought, scammer. They don't like hearing an automated voice say, "This call is being recorded." That is scammer kryptonite right there. Best feature of the Pixel series of phones. Although, speaking of Google, they did just get their ass handed to them in court in the first anti-monopoly court trial victory that has really happened since, like, I was a kid with Microsoft. And around that time, there's also a similar decision against AOL, which was interesting too. Like, you know, these kind of things don't seem like they're all that possible anymore. But speaking of things that feel impossible but aren't, it looks like somebody has managed to raise a level 115 Veritas of the Flames already, so let's get a look at how that guy performs as well. But hey, here we are. Google is seeing consequences for its rigging of the search market. So, hey. And if you want to learn more about stuff like that, actually the whole AOL angle is something that I thought about a lot for my most recent series of books, as especially in the second book, they're going up against an internet ISP company with a monopoly in their area. I mean, that stuff's annoying to, like, all of us, right? The fact there's only one person to buy internet from. They're generally one of the most hated companies in the country, but you do business with them anyways because we're all addicted to the internet and they're the dealer we got. Anyways, if you like stuff like that, definitely check out my most recent series of books. Links to that will be in the link tree in the description. But you can also check out my other YouTube channel and podcast, where we're going to be discussing things a little bit more like that, a little bit less like video games. Veritas of the Flames here. Somebody's got him up to 115 already, and it's a shame that we took him out first, because he certainly seemed like he was doing a lot of things. He got some human killer onto Sephiroth, which is a big deal. Pretty helpful for him. Even boosting that kind of basic attack damage to a point, which is pretty good. But we are pretty well winning this. We've also poisoned Sephiroth. We've seen Overflow happen a couple times this match from Veritas of the Waters, where she's really getting into the thick of it. And she's just granting other people extra CT. Oh, we finally get to see the skill that she has that raises people, but, you know, again, it's kind of too little too late. Like, if you've made it to this point, you have so many other problems. I mean, it's a stronger version. It's Raise with a bunch of extra benefits, and arguably it's better than Full Life, but I think really the big issue for her is that she needs courage or something in her kit before that happens, and that she's really getting that too late. As evidenced by that being the only time you're going to see that kind of thing happen. I might be able to take that with Wind, but that's a 140 Resnick. That might be a little bit tougher. Maybe I should try to look for something else. This would at least be a weaker Resnick. And yeah, I think we can handle Daria with the Water team. Oh, here's a full Wind team. I haven't had a chance to show off my Ice Strike team yet, so we could see what's good with that. Yeah, I think that's the way I want to go here. Show off a little bit of Tifa action. Tifa is another good single target breaker that is an amazing combo with Elia the Alabaster. Just letting Tifa break for her can be pretty powerful. Also, that Frostbite can really mess up a bunch of their competition as well. Okay, Veritas of the Winds using his TMR. I wouldn't necessarily use his TMR on him, because I feel like he has pretty good buffs that you want to get set up and get him out front maybe as fast as you can. Because now he's not going to have an opportunity to haste himself with his buff. If he doesn't haste himself with his buff, then his LB is now doing less damage. That's why I prefer, I love that TMR. I'm not against them using it. It's so good for Wind versus Earth and versus Fire. Like, it's good for anybody versus Earth and Fire at this moment in time. But, you know, you really got to put it on a character who can burn that turn buffing, you know? Anyways, with all that being said, remember that the free-to-play option for YouTube is to like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.